Hi there guys, how you going? This is Campbell from Autodidactic channel, and Autodidactic of course means to be self-educated, and you want to be self-educated guys, because believe me, you do not want to learn what they are trying to teach you. Now this video, I'm just calling it Mud Flood Reset and the Tripods. Now the Tripods is actually a book trilogy that was written in '67 by Christopher, I have forgotten his name, but it'll roll up in the credits. And basically what it is, this is a story of a reset. So at the start you saw the date was 2089. Um, and these people obviously are less advanced than we are at the moment technologically. So they've had a reset. Now this book, it's a trilogy, it's 3 books, and they turned it into a series, which is what you're watching now, back in the 80s, but they only made the first 2 books, so they never actually made the conclusion, which is a bit of a bummer. But why I found this interesting is, as you can see, they've got all the houses and the buildings and structures that they didn't build, that they're living in, all around them. So they've got this previous civilization, but they don't. None of them. But they've got a story you'll hear later that they do sort of know something existed before, but they were just told it was all, men going mad and wars and everything. And what happened is the tripods came, and the tripods are these big metal machines, robot things, and here comes a foot now with some awesome 80s effects. And these tripods are looked on as gods, because what they do is, when you reach a certain age, which I think is 17, they put a cap on you, and that's what's about to happen to that young man. So what a cap is it looks like, in this show, it looks a bit like a circuit board, and they basically implant it on your head, and it goes into your brain, and it makes you controllable. They can get all your information out of you, and basically it takes away, any sort of creativity and curiosity, and just keeps people stuck and just believing the narrative and just going through their, the motions of their life. So basically they're controlled by the tripod. So I mean, that's obviously pretty close to where we are now. We just don't have the physical caps. And as you can see, this guy's been taken up into the tripod, and he's quite happy because, it's what is expected, and he finds it quite normal. And it's obviously, it's celebrated as well as like a coming of age type thing. So yeah, basically complete misinformation has been taught, and these guys have just been, completely programmed to believe a false narrative. So here we go, the tripods. So yeah, I want to show you a few other interesting bits, but that's actually a picture pretty similar to the cap, and it's a nice little triangle for the Illuminumis. And it's just this series. I'll put a link below so you can have a look at it. It's just really, it really raises some good questions. So there you go. John Christopher was the author, and I actually read this book. I found all these books when I was sort of 10 or 11, and I've read them. Probably read them 3 or 4 times in my teens. And I've watched the series a few times. It's just got some really cool stuff in it that really sort of relates to where we are, and especially now with the whole mud flood reset thing, it even sort of is a bit more on cue than it used to be. So these are all the people, and that guy's just been taken up to have a cap put on him, and so.
Why do I have to be capped?
Everyone's capped when they come of age.
But why?
Don't you want to grow up and leave school to work with your father? Will, you don't think they'd hurt us, surely?
It's just that I don't understand.
You will. Now, take this...
Well, that was Will. He's the main character, and he's questioning why he needs to have a cap on, basically, because he can see that when people get capped, they, they become, like drones. They can't think for themselves very much. They just do the same thing every day, and it's so much like our society. People just get brainwashed by the media, and the education system and all this other crap going around, and they start believing it, and so they just think that they've got all the answers, so they never look for anything. They lose their curiosity. They get into jobs they don't like, and they just, meander through life. And so these kids, they remind me of me. They probably remind you of you because they're free thinkers. They think differently, and when they bring things up to people and questions, they're basically just told, look, don't worry about it. Just be like everyone else. You'll understand one day, but they're never given answers. All right, now in this scene, they're looking at these people, the vagrants, which are just, the homeless people that are walking around. What vagrants are in this story is people whose caps haven't worked properly. So they've tried to put a cap on someone, they've stuffed up, and it's left them a bit crazy or, a bit impaired or whatever. So basically the vagrants just roam about, doing whatever they want, and all the towns give them food, for free. So they come out and they give them food. So they kind of look after them, but they're very scared of them, and sort of what they stand for, because they're told, again, because these people think differently, they're told, and the kids are told when they're young, it's that basically they're mad and they're dangerous, they're crazy, and their ideas are dangerous. So I guess we're the vagrants, guys. So it's just got a lot of parallels with our current reality. Alright guys, and in this scene we see what the cap is. So I just wanted to show you this quickly. The story I really want to tell is more about how they've been taken back, reset, all their tech's been taken from them, and they're living in these buildings that they didn't make, that they don't know how to make, and they don't know what went on before. And in the later books and the later, series, they go to France and they find to Paris, and they find the whole city, and they find all these things. But I'll leave you to watch that yourself. But this is just the cap. So this is that guy who got taken up at the start into a tripod, and now he's coming back, and it's like a coming of age thing. So of course all the other people, all the other adults are capped, and they're all very proud and happy, and there's a celebration for them. So just, they've got the caps, but it's still indoctrination, even though, they're probably forced to think this way. But here we go. And as you can see in that scene there, Will, the main character, sort of welcomed his friend back who had been capped, and his friend was like, he didn't even notice him, he didn't even recognise him. So this obviously completely alters sort of the way that they see life and everything. And again, it's so much like, like our lives, you go through the indoctrination system, or some people call it the education system. Get out of that. Everyone pushes you into either more study, or that'll get you a job, or straight into a job. And when you get that, and you get the debt for your house and your car, they're all so happy for you, aren't they? Just because you've ended up in the same place that they have. So it's not where you want to go, guys.
Children, school is over, but I have something to say I should like you to think about. It is surprising, but no accident, that many of our great celebrations, Capping Day, which we all enjoyed yesterday, and say September's Harvest Festival, stand so close together in our calendar. For nature and the tripods are the two essentials for the continuation and well-being of mankind. Nature's bounty clothes and feeds us, and by their benevolent presence the tripods have eliminated the evil and greed of war, and all war's death, diseases and despair. Consider the unthinkable barbarity of deliberately killing other human beings, and how it must have been in the dark days before the tripods came. For centuries, aggression dominated man's activities, ruining his every endeavor, and in particular making impossible any true partnership with nature such as we now enjoy in our more enlightened times. Hands up those who are to be capped next year. You will have great understanding. We thank the tripods. We thank the tripods.
And there you have it, guys. That's how you change history. You indoctrinate the young people, tell them a false narrative, and get them believing in it. And just look at the architecture here too, guys. So they're living in this architecture that was built by a previous civilization that they don't know anything about. But that's school. That's the whole thing. They just make up different histories. Humans are so bad. Humans are so evil. We just want to kill and destroy everything. And so, the law, the rulers are there for our own good. This is still going on today. They're still, using things like, we're not, we're all racist, and we're not accepting enough. So we've got all this, sort of left stuff going on. But it's all crap. There are some people like that, but it's a vast minority, and it's only the ones who believe the crap on the media and the TV that really sort of get into that. So that's how you change a population and a civilization, and that's how they did it to us. You get rid of the adults and just tell the children a different story. Okay, I'm just going to stop it here for 1 minute. Okay, and this is where we meet Ozymandias. We saw him before with the vagrant, so he's a vagrant. And there he's just capturing poor Will. So his name's Ozymandias, and he, as you'll find out later, he has a bit of a secret, and he basically travels around finding boys that aren't capped, that can still think for themselves. And so, this is where he enters the story, and he's quite a big part of the story. So I just wanted to show you him there, and we'll see what he has to say.
How do you know my name?
I'm a vagrant, Will. You know the stories about vagrants. We're madmen, aren't we? We know things other men don't. Please, will you show me the tomb?
I'll be late home.
I don't think Will Parker's the sort of boy who'd bother too much about that. I don't usually make mistakes in those I choose. Jack won't ever come here again. Once that cap goes on, out go other things.
What other things?
A sense of wonder, curiosity, feelings of aggression and rebellion. No. Nobody who has ever been capped by a tripod would find much of interest here. You don't like the idea of being capped, Will?
What they did to Jack, it's not right.
Has he complained?
Oh, nobody ever complains. I mean, look at Ann Digger. She was a girl at school who painted wonderful pictures, really wonderful. They made me feel... I don't know.
Now she's been capped. She never paints. I watched you yesterday at the feast. You were the only one not having a good time.
How could you watch me?
Put that into your eyes. Take a look outside. Men made these, Will Parker. And cities. Cities over the sea. And flying machines to cross the sea. But you'll only say I'm mad.
You are mad.
Yet I imagine you and Jack must have often wondered what life was like before the tripods.
Perhaps.
About 100 years ago, not long, when the tripods first appeared, they destroyed whole cities. Millions of people were killed or starved, and those that were left, the tripods capped. Oh, after a generation or two, matters were very much as they are now. People living quiet lives, free from wars, well looked after by the tripods. Life is good. We thank the tripods. But you're afraid of being capped.
But how can you fight a tripod?
By using your wits.
How do you know all this, eh? You're just a stupid vagrant, and everybody knows that.
Well, the cap's quite genuine. Came from a dead man. That's my passport to vagrancy. Unlimited travel. Searching for boys like you. I'm capped. Not afraid to ask questions. Boys with spirit. And there are more of you than you imagine. Listen, old punk. There is no land in this whole world without tripods. But there is a place where men are free. Waiting for sufficient numbers and power to rid the world of tripods. Can you believe this?
Where is this place?
We call it the White Mountain.
Will you take me there?
Well, I've got weeks of work to do yet before I go back to the mountains, but... Yes, I think you should go. Look, listen, Will, I do you no favors. This place is a long way from here. Very few complete the journey. Think carefully.
I won't be capped.
Obstinacy. Good. I've always thought courage overrated. Do you know 5 Ways on the South Road? Meet me there tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. Dawn's at 6. I'll wait until 7. Keep that as a token of trust.
Maybe I won't come.
Then I'll have lost my watch, wasted my time, and you'll live a life of growing fear and regret until you're capped. Look, I left friends and family too. But remember, they're not your friends, your family. They belong to each and every tripod, as you will surely do if you stay here. Men made these, Will Parker. I'll wait until 7.
Okay, so there we have it. That was really the scene I wanted to sort of show you guys. That speech there by Ozymandias, where he's talking about, there's a few things. I mean, first of all, we can notice that what they call the tomb that they were in that house. It was all, the red brick and it had arches and everything. Don't know if that was any meaning at all, but yeah, it's interesting. He says, it was only 100 years ago. Within a few generations, everything had changed and everyone believed something completely different. Complete different reality, and he sort of explained that the story they'd been told about their past was false. It was a false history, and that basically their history had been reset. So like I said, it's a trilogy. It's a book trilogy. There is 2 series, which is the first 2 books. I'll leave links below. It's definitely, it gets you thinking. It's a bit it's a bit of a cheesy sort of 80s series, but it's good cheesy. But yeah, it's all about basically. I mean, it's obviously different circumstances with you know, the tripods, the aliens coming in and taking control and putting you know, the physical caps on people. But when you think about it, it's very similar to where we are. You know, these you know, ruling class people, things, whatever they are, have come in and taken over society. They've taught us the false narratives, but they've basically destroyed or taken advantage of, at least, you know, the destruction to sort of take control, and then they just continue to destroy things. And I mean, it does make you think, the whole sort of alien things, because I mean, I'm still not really sure, you know, what the deal is. I'm not with the Anunnaki and that. I mean, there's lots of holes in the sort of Sitchin's sort of, you know, narrative of it, but when you think about what's going on, that, you know, now we know about the mud flood and about you know, Tartaria and the destruction of buildings and everything, and you look around and we're still getting the destruction of our environment, of our rainforests, the oceans, you know, like Fukushima. They're pumping pollution everywhere. Excuse me, just need a drink of water. And you know, the education system, the way that they destroy countries and just let people live in poverty. I mean, and with, you know, the sort of the mud flood stuff, you can see what they've destroyed. You know, they were all civilized, you know, peaceful, working, you know, cities, and it's all been destroyed, and it's still going on. I mean, in every facet, it's our food, it's our medicine, it's everything, guys. So, I mean, it's a thought, isn't it? Are these people from somewhere else? You know, I mean, if you're thinking flat Earth, then you're thinking, well, they're not. They probably haven't come from a different planet. I don't know. But if they come from a different realm, or are they a different species that maybe evolved alongside us? You know, it just makes you think, because, like I said, all the destruction that's gone on, and it's still going on everywhere, guys, all around us. We're born into slavery. You know, we're made to work, made to pay to live on the earth, you know, that is ours, and we're made to pay for it. And, you know, all these restrictions now on what food you can even grow, where you can grow it, you know, can you catch rainwater, all this kind of stuff. I mean, just makes you think. So this is the tripods trilogy. Like I said, I'll leave the links below. There's a tripod there, keeping watch. And yeah, I hope you found this interesting, guys. Yeah, and I'll leave the links below. Please leave me a like and a comment. Subscribe if you like this kind of content. And as always, guys, be autodidactic, because self-education is the way forward. Right, have an amazing day. Catch you soon.